Hey guys, it's Cayley. I am back with another What Sold from last week video. Let me know if you guys missed the normal What Sold video. I did a little bit of a different one last week, but I think it's important to break numbers down and see what things are going for. So that was fun for me, and I know a lot of you guys liked it as well, but we are back into the regular scheduled programming. So every single week, if you guys are new here, I come on and I share what's selling for me on both eBay and Poshmark. It's also helpful for me to just keep track of my sales as I do different things in my business, how it impacts them, and just overall to reflect and analyze. One thing I am tracking is over the last probably about 6 months, I have intentionally decreased the amount of listings I'm doing. So I knew that I would have a decrease in sales, but in addition to that, it is now moving into summer slowdown season. So just kind of keeping an eye on how both of those things are impacting my sales over time is important to me. But my overall goal is to always maintain a healthy ASP no matter what I choose to pivot in my business. And so let's dive into these numbers and let's see how I did this week. All right, so the sales I'm going to be looking at happened between June 15th through June 21st. That is a Sunday through Saturday. Had a little bit of a slower week. I think we're all experiencing that. And if you do nothing differently in your store, you're definitely going to experience slow sales during this time. If you're a pre-owned clothing seller like me, you do have to intentionally, increase listings, intentionally source different things that buyers are specifically looking for, and just overall pivot your business during the summer months to make sure to maintain healthy numbers. In total, last week, like I said, it was a slower sales week for me. I sold 123 items, and my average sale price was a little bit lower, around $31. And that's what I'm seeing throughout most of this year, is just lower ASP stuff selling. So that's fine. We are pivoting into more bread and butter things, while obviously you'll see here on the screen selling some higher value stuff as well. But if what buyers are picking up is the $25 to $30 mark, that's where I want to be, because I want to continuously sell things. So gross item sales were a little bit under $4,000. My total items sold on eBay was 113. On Poshmark, I only sold 10. That's to be expected. We stopped cross-posting over there with all of the stuff going on. I do intend to continue cross-posting over there, but just for the last couple of weeks, it really wrecked my team's process to have to constantly worry about getting suspended and then getting unsuspended. So I just said, let's take a break from Poshmark for, a couple of weeks and let eBay absorb those sales. So we might be cross-posting again, but for right now, I have stopped cross-posting over there because of their rule changes that haven't seemed to have the kinks worked out yet. So I'm just kind of waiting for those kinks to be worked out. So I only sold 10 on Poshmark, and that's from not listing anything for several weeks, which is pretty decent for not listing anything. So most of them were on eBay, which is to be expected. My average cost of goods on eBay was around that $31 mark, and it was pretty close on Poshmark as well at the $30. Let's dive into some of these individual sales, and I'll show you what my buyers are picking up. All right, this one is more of a high sell-through rate bolo, definitely a shoe wear brand you want to be on the lookout for. Both women's and men's, specifically the men's, perform better in my opinion, but these are a pair of women's boots. They are Ariats, one of the better Western brands, especially if you can find them in more substantial pieces, which I do consider this one to be. Pre-owned and with a little bit of wear, I listed these ones that were called the Heritage Arto boots for $80. We actually got these from the bins, which is really exciting, and it did end up selling for our full asking price of $80. Looks like this one took a little over a month to sell. And I do have some style-based stuff to show you guys today. If you guys are new, style-based is a portion of my business that I really like sourcing for, which is picking up things that have great factors that I know people are looking for regardless of what the brand is. And so this brand, Moda International, is absolutely not one that you want to be on the lookout for, but the style alone sold it. And sometimes I'm getting higher prices for the style-based stuff than my high sell-through rate, well-known, good brands that most people look for. So this is a Y2K baby doll top. Interesting colors on this one. I wasn't sure how that was going to go. I listed for $35. It did sell for my full asking price of $35, and this one also took about a month to sell. Here's another style-based piece. This one is men's. I see a lot of you guys in the comments saying that there's not style-based stuff that you can pick up in men's. That's actually not true. This would be an example of it. And although it is a decent brand to look for in the Y2K stuff, you can't just pick up anything Y2K and Abercrombie and it's going to sell. So style plays a big role in it, and the Y2K hoodies in specific styles and specific brands, if you pair those on top of each other, can perform well. So there is style-based stuff in men's too. It's just less than the women's. So this one is Abercrombie and Fitch. It's their muscle line, Y2K style hoodie, lots of spell out. Did have a little bit of flaws. I listed this one for $40. It sold on an offer to watcher for $34. This one did take several months to sell. Next up, another great Y2K thing to be on the lookout for are vintage Coach handbags. Coach in general, unless they are the vintage stuff, I don't find sell well anymore. So I'm strictly looking for the vintage leather ones or these Y2K style ones. So they can be really easy to pass right over. This is actually a micro bag. You might be able to tell with the size of the hand. It was like the size of my hand. It was a micro mini bag. I actually regret this moment while I was sourcing because a new cart had rolled out and there was this bag and another Coach micro mini bag on the shelf, and another customer looked at it and thought about getting it and was talking to her friend about it and then put it back. And in that moment I told myself I need to go snatch those purses up. Well, instead of going and snatching them up, I was trying to be nice and give her a moment to think about it because I don't want to be that person. And I gave her a moment to think about it. She ended up not getting it. But right as I started to walk towards those bags to pick them up, another customer came, ended up grabbing the other one and ended up keeping it. So I missed out on one of them and it would have been a great sale. But happy to get this one, which she left behind. But that just tells me I need to be a little bit quicker if I want those bolos that are coming out on the new racks. So this is a Coach micro mini handbag, monogram, also very trendy, but these mini micro things, handbags, skirts, shorts, all of those things are very trendy in the Y2K style right now. I picked this up for $4.99, which was a great price, listed at $60. It sold, I was about to say almost immediately. It was literally immediately the exact same day for my full asking price of $60. I could have priced this up a little bit more and held out, but I felt like that was a competitive price to get to move quickly. And I was right because it sold within one day. So definitely keep your eye out for the older style Coach handbags as well as their all leather ones. Next up, this is Harley Davidson. I hardly ever pick this up anymore, but when I do, it's got to have a large graphic spell out. And I don't pick up hardly any of the shirts anymore. It's got to t-shirts. It's got to be a button down or a sweatshirt or something, a jacket. I rarely pick up the t-shirts anymore. I still have yet to find one of the 3D emblems. When I do, I will be picking up that shirt, but have not found one yet. But outside of the crew neck t-shirts, I do find quite a bit of other stuff, and it always performs well for me. So I actually paid up for this one. This is a vintage Harley Davidson men's sweatshirt. Lots of spell out both front and back. Had a little bit of wear to it. I listed it for $50 for that reason, and it did sell for my full asking price of $50. I paid about $9 for it, and this one only took about 8 days to sell. Next up, a brand you want to look for in linen right now. Linen is huge. Linen, hemp, 100% cottons, the lightweight gauzy stuff are fabrics that people are looking for because it is so hot outside. Actually today I think it's 100 degrees here in Ohio. So keep your eye out for pretty much anything linens, but linens do have certain brands that are elevated as well. And I would consider this a bolo brand that is well known for its linen, which is flax. This one is a pretty interesting longer length dress. I listed this for $50. It did sell for our full asking price of $50. And this one took a couple of months to sell. Next up, this is Carhartt. I think we all know Carhartt is a very trendy brand, and I think we all know that the canvas jackets do well, but what you might not know is that their hoodies also can perform well. So they have a pretty decent sell-through rate in the men's hoodies. Depending on what they are, I find that the larger sizes do better, and then obviously a spell out is going to help. So this is a men's hoodie, really decent condition, 2XL, light spell out on the sleeve. Listed this for $40 pre-owned. It sold for my full asking price of $40. This one took about a month and a half to sell. All right, next up, this was an interesting find. This is a really unique tag, was really the only reason that I looked it up besides this like wild graphic. But I actually looked up this label, and although there's not much information about it on eBay, what I did see had a pretty good sell-through rate, especially the ones with the flags. So this was a very heavy, thick, I think it might have even been wool piece. I got it, I listed it. It has sat. I originally listed this at the end of March, so it's been, let's see here, about 3.5 months. So a little bit longer than I would have liked, but we dropped our price and it sold pretty quickly after that. This ended up selling for a dropped price of around $42. And like I said, took about 3.5 months to sell. But anytime I see anything with all over graphics, super thick, those are indicators to me that I might want to look it up. And like I said, this label actually did have a decent sell-through rate at the time that I looked it up. Next up, Joe actually found these for me. They are men's Orvis vintage Southwestern shirts. They did have a lot of pilling and wear throughout them, but they were really cool all over graphics. I actually almost told him to leave them, and then like second guessed myself after I did comps. So he found both of these for me. You can see they're super faded, but that did not matter. We listed them both for $40, and they actually sold in a bundle for full asking price to one buyer. So we paid $5 each, so 10 into about 80. Really great return on investment, and they both sold very quickly as well. They took only about 3 weeks to sell. So this vintage Orvis stuff, especially when you see a Southwestern Aztec graphic, definitely look into it. Their coats are the ones I look for more, or sometimes their sweaters, but these t-shirts, vintage-wise, seem to do good in the men's department. Here is another style-based piece. This is the brand Only Heart, so I'm not super familiar with it. It did seem like a decent brand and vintage stuff, but the overall look of this was very on trend. So you've got the sheer meshy style, we've got fitted longer length, and it had some interesting lacy details. I listed this one for $45, and it sold for our full asking price of $45. This one took a month to sell. This is a category I don't sell a lot in, which are hats, and that's mainly because I just don't find a lot of good hats in my area, but when I do, I always snatch them up because they're super easy to list. This is a Patagonia hat, and a lot of these, like, I don't know, bucket hats are pretty trendy, obviously baseball caps, and then like fishing, sun safari looking hats is what I would consider this one, so an outdoorsy hat. Can perform very well, especially if you've got them in a brand that is also well known. So this one had a couple of minor signs of wear on the inside, but we listed it for $40, and it did sell for our full asking price of $40. This one took about 3 weeks to sell, so keep your eye out for hats. Next up, this is more of a winter item, but it's still something that is selling well for me, so I thought I would mention it. I come across these all the time, and they generally sell between 30 and 40 for me. I actually think I have 2 examples to show you today, but this is a Ralph Lauren women's cable knit sweater, especially the vintage looking ones. Condition really matters and all that stuff, but it's something people are looking for because it falls into that like old money preppy aesthetic that people are really into, and specifically this brand is one to look for. So this one had a couple of spots throughout. I listed it for $35 anyways just because it has been performing so well for me, and it sold on an offer to watcher for $30, and this one took about a month to sell. Here's that brand Flax again. This is a pair of linen wide leg pants. Wide leg is a very trendy factor right now. Linen is a trendy factor, so when paired together, you're looking at a pretty quick sale. Plus, this is a decent brand to look for, so keep your eye out for that. Having all of those factors in really any brand is going to elevate the sell-through rate and the ASP, and then it's just up to you whether it fits your business model or not, whether you want to get it, but it is something that I look for. Combination of factor stacking. So I listed these for $35. They sold for my full asking price of $35, and these took April, May, sorry, I'm counting, about 2.5 months to sell. Next up, this is another style-based piece. This is not a brand I would memorize, but it is a vintage skirt, and it was 100% silk, had nice print to it. I sell these all the time. Silk really elevates it as well, and it's longer length. I listed this for $35, and it sold for my full asking price of $35. This one, oh, it looks like it actually, oh, you know what? I don't know exactly when it was listed because the buyer It looks like the buyer purchased it the same day, but that's because they bought it, had an issue with their address. I relisted it and they bought it the same day. So not sure how long this one sat. I don't think very long. I think it was a recent pickup, but this is great bread and butter that I sell all the time. And it's clearly something buyers are looking for. All right, next up, this is a blast from the past. I have not seen this brand in a while. We hardly ever pick it up. It is Knox Rose. This is a plus size top. This is just like a factor stacking piece for one of my core customers, which we sell a lot of plus size tops. So paid $5 for this, listed for $25. It actually sold relatively quickly within a month for full asking price. Not a brand I'll be getting a whole lot of, but in certain cases, factor stacking can happen. All right, this is also a brand I hardly get anymore. It is Athleta. So here's what I look for in Athleta. I'm looking specifically for their newer styles, meaning made within the last couple of years. I don't think it's going to show here, but on the back of this tag, there's a little label that shows both the style number and it will show you the date that it was made. So likely this was made within the last couple of years is the reason we picked it up. Plus, it is also a size large, which larger sizes I found in Athleta also do well, but I'm specifically trying to focus on those newer styles. We always look up the style name and then we do our comps based off of that before we get an Athleta piece because the brand has become more oversaturated. So this was the piece we still got. It's called the Pacifica Illume UPF jacket. Listed this for $30. It sold for an offer to watcher of $25. I paid $6. And this sold within exactly 9 days of being listed. Pretty quick turnaround. I do price Athleta pretty competitively just because I do know it's oversaturated, and so it tends to flip quickly for me. Here's a brand with a really great sell-through rate. It is Packed. This is a sustainable brand that uses organic cottons and people really love them. They're very easy to pass over because some of their pieces are like this, where they're super simple, more basics. And so, who looks for cotton leggings? Not a lot of people when you're sourcing, but this is a brand that you want to know about. So Packed organic cotton leggings, size large, got these at the bins, listed for $30, and they sold for $30, and they sold the exact same day that we listed them, which is pretty amazing for a pair of cotton leggings. So if that tells you how great the brand is, it's very high sell-through rate, and then just about anything, it is one you want to look for. All right, another brand I'm looking for right now is Lilly Pulitzer. This is another one similar to Athleta where it's become quite oversaturated, so I do look up the style. Lilly Pulitzer skirts in a size 16 have a good sell-through rate, so that's why I picked this one up. It was called the Faye Ruffle Mini Skirt. And in general, skirts are very trendy still. That like preppy tennis look is still a micro trend that is happening. Listed these for $30. They sold for full asking price of $30, and they only took 7 days to sell. Here's another style-based piece. Brand does not matter, but as you can see, this is a very Y2K looking tag. Pretty plain top, but I'm flipping these all day long. Great style-based pieces. I paid $5 for this, listed for $25. It sold on an offer to watcher for $21, and this one only took 6 days to sell. All right, next up, this is the brand Eileen West. This is a Y2K style baby doll top. I think this actually might have been a pajama top just because I know Eileen West typically makes pajamas, but we marketed it as a regular top, and we listed it for $25. Sold for $25. I actually listed this also on a couple different places, and it had a ton of like views and watchers. So I guess it was priced right. I guess it had all the right factors, and it was just something people were looking for. So this sold very quickly within just a few days for my full asking price of $25. This is something we got at the bins. This is something I come across all the time, and you can too. All right, last one on eBay before we dive into, a few Poshmark sales I pulled for you. This is another great bread and butter that I look for during this time of the year. I mentioned linen being very trendy, but J. Crew is a brand, not a lot of people get except in certain things, but during this time of the year, J. Crew paired with linen performs really well for me. Now, I don't typically get a whole lot for it. They're more bread and butter, like 25 to 35, but specifically the men's linen shirts, a lot of people pass on, and I flip them very quickly for 25, 30 bucks. This one had a light flaw on it. Otherwise I would have listed higher, but this is an Irish linen shirt. You can see some of the keywords we used on this one. Listed for $25 because of the spot. Sold on an offer to watch her for $20, and this one sold within 4 days of being listed, which is pretty awesome for a bins pickup. And these are the kind of things I like sharing with you. Not just the high ASP stuff, not just the high sell-through rate stuff, but also the style-based stuff that you're probably walking right by that you could be bulking up on. I would much rather sell 10 style-based items today for $25 and make $250 than, wait several months to make $100 sale on one item, right? I want to bulk up on the things that I frequently come across and can sell quickly. All right, next up, this is a Poshmark sale. So moving into some of those, this is a J. Crew sweater blazer. Not the right season for sweater blazers, but it's still sold. This is still a great bread and butter for me. Pretty much any J. Crew men's or women's blazer, I'm still doing really well. This one, like I said, is not in the right season. It is new with tags, but I priced accordingly because it's out of season, and I accepted an offer of $32 on this one. Next up, this is a shoe wear brand that performs really well for me. If you actually look this up on eBay, you're not going to see a 100% sell-through rate. Kind of like a nuanced way to list them and how to price them, but this brand does have a following, and if you list them correctly with the right keywords, with the right pricing, they can do well. So Spring Step, their line Les Artistes, which are these very funky, artsy style shoes, sell for higher prices. This one ended up selling for an offer of $46. Another shoe wear brand I look for are Hoka's in pretty much any condition. As long as the tread is still there, I pretty much get any Hoka's, with a decent cost of goods that I'm going to make money on. You can see that these had quite a bit of wear, and they still sold very quickly for an offer of $38. I come across these at the bins pretty often, and a lot of people leave them behind because of dirt and wear. We tried to clean them up. You could see there's just such a good following with them. As long as the tread is there, you can sell them for good money. All right, and I also am still selling a lot of Lululemon. Specifically, their shorts have a high sell-through rate right now. Most of their stuff does not, but shorts is something that I still like getting in pretty much anything, and they're still selling about $30 to $40 for me. These ones were called the Speed Up shorts, and they sold for $34. And then I also sold to a different buyer this skirt. Remember, with Lily Pulitzer, I said skirts are very trendy. So same thing with these Lululemon pieces. And this was called the Hottie Hot skirt, and it sold on an offer for $30. And then lastly, finishing up with an out of season one again. As promised, here's the second one. It's another Ralph Lauren sport. This one is a pink cable knit sweater. Keywords are really important if you're going to sell these quickly. And so you can see some of the keywords we used here. And this sold within that $30 to $40 range that I keep talking about for $30. All right, guys, so that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. If you missed this series, it is back. I just wanted to step away for a moment and do something different. Let me know if you like the traditional style or if you want to see some newer stuff. If you are new here, consider subscribing down below. If you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified every single time I post these videos, and I do them every single week. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!